Hey everybody, it's Ruel. How are you doing? Just wanted to chime in here and let you all know that we're smack dab in the middle of summer and things are getting pretty hectic. So this is going to be a summer of re-ups or reruns or replays. The classic episodes, if you will, which I think might be beneficial for some of the new listeners. So what I'll do is pick and choose what I feel.
Two Warm Springs, as well as late Dublin trains. They're about 5 to 7 minutes behind schedule. These trains are late coming from San Francisco into Warm Springs and Dublin due to earlier problems.
All right.
We appreciate your patience as we're getting trains back on time for you.
Not a problem. I hope you guys caught that, and little does she know that she is on the podcast. The announcement at the train station. So anyways, so I'll pick and choose episodes that I feel might have greater value than me just talking about why I'm fat and why I am not running and why my kids are driving me up the wall. But I appreciate it all because I'm alive and well and not dead. Anyways, so with that, I may insert a new episode that is not a re-up in between. I may or may not, depends on what's going on. But I didn't want to leave you guys empty-handed. So with that, enjoy. This is Ruel's Running Podcast, episode 31. If you think you're not a runner, think again. In here, everyone's a runner. You may not always be putting one foot in front of the other, but trust me, you are running something. I'm your host, Ruel. Welcome.
There was a dream a million miles away. There was fire in the sky like every single day. All these bits and pieces.
Welcome to Ruel's Running Podcast. This is episode 31. Folks, today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/RuelsRunning. Over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
Don't let it pass you by.
How to run a 50K ultra solo mission from home. That's what I want to talk about today here in episode 31. Now, the question is, what's an ultra distance run or an ultra marathon? So the answer is, typically it's a distance greater than a marathon distance, which is 26.2 miles. And as far as I know, here where I stand on my 2 feet, the first recognized ultra distance would be a 50K, also known as the 31.1 mile distance. So that's what we'll be talking about, and that's what I've been able to do at least a couple times as a goal. And so next question is, why run from home? Why do the solo mission? First, it's got to be personal preference. Everyone has their own deal, right? What floats your boat? What suits you? What makes you feel happy? What motivates you? What inspires you? So, for me, and for the purposes of this how-to, is you have to have, I guess, no immediate, no critical, no high priority desire to actually race in a race. Where you get a bib, you toe the line, or you make it to the corral, and whatever the starting sound is, the gun, the buzzer, the bell, the bullhorn, you go, and you race against the folks around you, or you race against yourself from a previous PR. So, this is more of going out for the run and accomplishing the distance. And, the further you go, that's kind of what you really want to strive for as a goal, is to be able to accomplish the distance, And personally, that suits me. I'm not a speedster. I am not that guy that, wants to basically subject my body to the amount of work that's needed to strive for something fast, because going beyond 26.2, personally, I'm not wired that way to just try and speed through a long course, and 50K is, as we mentioned, sort of the first recognized distance, as far as I know, for the ultra distance or for the ultra marathons. Just imagine doing the 50 miles, doing the 100K, doing the 100 miles, and then so on and so on. It's just, why would you want to speed through it? Some of these things will take, 24 hours, 27 hours. It's, it's not like a 5K where you just vault off sprinting and it's nonstop. It's just go. When you're out as long as 24 hours, just as an example, you're going to think about, fueling and getting all those things taken care of, all your needs taken care of throughout the hours, throughout the day, no desire to race, right? Just be out there for the distance. So another reason to go with the solo mission is you're not having to fork over a registration fee. And, nowadays, I guess depending on where you live, registration for an event can be expensive. One of the prominent events that I've ever registered and participated in was the San Francisco Marathon back in 2011. And that was easily over $100 registration. And, it's pretty common too for folks to train for an event like that, register for an event like that, complete an event however way they did, successfully, unsuccessfully, as expected, not as expected, but still wrap it up with a couple types of motivation. One, you're on an endorphin high, and you can't wait to do it again because you're on an endorphin high. And second is, you're not satisfied, and you're determined to come back the next year to do better, right? So what's going to happen is you're already setting yourself up for the next cost, for the next time you want to do this event. And, especially with the endorphin rush and endorphin high of doing these things, it's so easy to just kind of get the ball rolling and start thinking of, your race calendar for the year and what you want to do. You want to do a marathon in every state. You want to do, a marathon every month. You want to do a marathon twice a month, whatever it is, right? And, it costs money, and it's not just the registration. It's, if it's a race that you have to travel to, it's all of the supplies and the gear and the equipment and sort of therapy things that you need to go through training and to recover and to, keep doing it. Yeah, it can cost a pretty penny. Another reason to go solo is there's really a flexibility in the schedule. Personally, what I like to do is set a rough period when I want to do the run, and then kind of narrow it down the closer I get to that time frame. And if things don't work out because of family responsibilities or work or the weather is really not appropriate or I fall sick, then I can easily just decide to change it. I'm not tied to a specific date like I would be had I registered for an event. Let's use the San Francisco Marathon as an example again. The San Francisco Marathon is going to be set ahead of time on a certain date, and all the runners know that they're going to gun for that date. They're going to shoot for that date, and they got to pray that they stay healthy and nothing happens that affects their ability to make that date, to make that time, to make that race. So, having the flexibility in your schedule is one of the reasons why doing a solo mission is ideal. Another reason is, when you're doing a solo mission, it's exactly that. It's a solo mission. It's a solitary thing. There's no crowds that you have to compete with before the event to find parking. There's no crowds to stand in line to hit the porta potties. There's none of that. And I remember doing the San Francisco Marathon that one and only time, and never having done an event like this before. There was great concern about, okay, it's San Francisco, it's the city. Where are the parking garages? Where are the parking lots? Is as early as it starts, is there going to be public transportation available? How do I get in? How do I get out once it's all done? Not having done it before, you sort of have to go through that sort of logistical challenge and planning. But in a solo mission, especially one where you're just starting out from home, all that's blown away. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You just start from home, and we'll get into that because it's simply that, it's starting from home. And and that covers the next point where you save a bunch of time. You don't drive anywhere. You don't have to drive to a starting point. You don't have to drive to a designated trailhead or whatnot. Just out the door. Cool. So, what are the different approaches to doing a solo mission, a solo run? Or more specific to what we're talking about, we're using 50K ultra distance as the run because I guess it's the first ultra distance as mentioned, so we're going to use that. It could be, as far as ultra distances are concerned, it's the more digestible, it's the more easily accepted. Because if I just jumped right in and said, let's go run 135 miles out of the door, then that's really way out there, and it really sounds so much fun, but we're not going to talk about that. We'll talk about 50K out the door. So back to the question, back to the topic of what are the approaches of running this solo mission. One would be, especially from out of your front door, one would be to do an out and back. A lot of you know what that may be, and it's exactly what it sounds to be, is where you start at one point, you head out whatever direction you need to head until you hit a midway point in your course or your distance or your time, whatever, and then you just backtrack. You just head right back. And that's the out and back. So you start and finish basically in the same place. Cool. I'm going to do a little typing. You're going to hear it. Okay. Another approach to doing the solo mission would be to do loops, right? And that's exactly what that is. It's just running circle. Well, not like a perfect circle. It's like, you're running a loop, like around a track or around the perimeter of your neighborhood. And so you're always coming back around and meeting up at your starting point, and then you do it over and over again. You do your loops. When I did my first 50K, it was an out and back, but I had modified the course along the way where I had to make up distance at the end. So I did 14 plus loops around a soccer field where I decided to end, which is close to home. So, that was sort of my hybrid of doing an out and back and then a whole bunch of loops. So that's another point. You can kind of do any combination of these things to make it work for you. And the last approach that I have is point-to-point, where you start off at one point and you finish another point and you're done. It doesn't have to be where you finish where you start. You could, in this example of the 50K, you start at distance 0 out your door, head out until you reach 50K. And then now you just have to worry about getting home. And one of my long training runs, what I did was I took public transportation. I took a train north from where I lived, got off at a certain station that was far enough that I was as far out as I wanted it to be, and I just ran home from there along a trail. But that was point to point. I just needed a lift further away so that I could finish closer to where I wanted to be, and that was home. So let's do this. Before we continue, I wanted to share something with you folks. As you go through this information, and when you're done and you start wondering whether or not it's something that you want to do, one of the things that can help you and all of the listeners of this podcast, Audible.com is offering the listeners of Ruel's Running Podcast a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. Now, I know you're thinking, here's Ruel, he's going to give us another running book. Hey, running books are awesome, right? That they help get me where I want to be in the right frame of mind, and it helps me understand what's out there and what's possible. But I'm not going to do that to you. No. What I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest, when you go to audibletrial.com/RuelsRunning, I'm going to suggest that, and when you go for your free audiobook download, your free 30-day trial, this is what I want you to look into getting. The Rise of Superman, Decoding the Science of Ultimate Human Performance by Stephen Kotler. This is an audiobook that I have, that I got through Audible. And oh my God, you gotta listen to it. Now, sorry if I blew your ears saying, oh my God, but oh my God, human performance. This book, the author, Stephen Kotler, he goes through a handful of people. They're people just like you and me, but they're wired differently. They're wired differently, that they're able to do incredible, high performance, extreme with a capital extreme feats of things like jumping out of planes, skiing down mountains, surfing, ginormous waves. You know what I'm getting at. So that's just sort of an idea. And the author talks about each of these individuals and what their accomplishments have done to basically change the mindset, change what we believe to be, the highest level of performance by a person, and also change perception, right? If you think about it, right? As an example, let's use motorcycles. Let's think about, the Fonz from Happy Days and his motorcycle. Hey, Richie, hey, He's taking his motorcycle, he's got his white t-shirt, his jeans, and his blue boots, and his boots, not blue boots, blue jeans, and his boots, and his leather jacket, and he's brum, brum, brum. He's got, the grease or the pomade in his hair, all slicked back, combed back, right? And the craziest thing that you've ever seen him do on his motorcycle is do sort of like Daredevil, Evel Knievel type stuff. Just your basic, on a parking lot, go fast, hit a ramp, jump over some objects, right? Now, back then, with that concept, would anybody have imagined taking a motorcycle and launching straight up and doing crazy-ass flips, backflips? No. So, you think that one extreme? These folks mentioned in the stories in this book, they take things beyond the limit, and they freaking do amazing things, and they push boundaries. It's freaking amazing. If you're into those types of things, check out The Rise of Superman, Decoding the Science of Ultimate Human Performance by Stephen Kotler. Kotler. Check it out. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/RuelsRunning. Again, that's audibletrial.com/RuelsRunning for your free audiobook. Anyways, what I was saying earlier, as far as requirements or prerequisites, with doing this 50K ultra solo mission from home, The only things I have are, you got to have the ability. You got to have the running base. You can't be that. You can't just be off the couch and decided that you want to go out and do 50K. It's absolutely possible. The human drive and the human body and the human, spirit, will take you anywhere you want to go. But, if you want to do it safely, if you want to do it smart, right, get some training. We're talking about 50K. You got to have some sort of history, recent outings out there running. You don't want to hurt yourself. The last thing we want to do is be stupid, hurt ourselves, and, not be able to function normally day to day dealing with an injury. So, for the purposes of this, how to run a 50K ultra solo mission from home, let's be comfortable. Let's start out being comfortable, at least running, I want to say, 20 miles or a marathon, 26.2, right? If you can do a marathon distance comfortably, then getting up to a 50K is nothing. Well, it's something. It's an accomplishment. But what I'm saying is you're trained up enough to be able to take it to those several more miles above it to complete a distance. So please, I'm talking to folks here who already have that level of training or who are planning to have that level of training. And then, you could use the rest of this information to start to plan and devise a way for you to, get your own mission done as safe as possible, hopefully. Be safe. Don't hurt yourself. So, other prerequisites I'm thinking of is confidence, right? Because it's as much of a mental game than it is a physical game doing these runs. Sometimes it's even greater than that, and Marshall Ulrich says, your only limits are the ones that you have in your mind, and I'm paraphrasing. Dean Karnazes says that, something along the lines that the body has limits, but your mind is boundless or something like that, right? And you get what I'm saying. If you have the right mindset, if you have the confidence, you can do the impossible, or what you believe to have been the impossible, but then you believe strong enough that you can do the impossible and you get it done. So have the confidence, right? Also, another prerequisite would be commitment, right? You got to be committed, man. You can't just, half-ass it, to be honest, right? You take the time to do the training, you take the time to do the planning, and you go. I have a friend. His name is Trey. And, he started getting inspired and wanting to do his own running, when he had the time out on trails and on the treadmill. And, he got to a point where he kept challenging the distance that he would try. And he got himself up to an 18-mile distance. Then he had runner friends telling him, you know what? You have enough running base or experience to challenge yourself and do a marathon distance. Right away he blew it off. Like, no way. But it was something that came back to his mind, and he was out on a trail, and he just went out running to do whatever felt good. And as his day progressed, as his run progressed, as he just kept pushing himself, kept on questioning, what would happen if I just went out further? And he just kept doing that, and he kept feeling good because he was on top of his nutrition, and he was taking care of himself. He wasn't hurting himself, and he wasn't racing. It was a solo outing. It wasn't even a mission. It was just sort of like a discovery, a self-discovery, And eventually that self-discovery took him to a point where he got to 13 miles. So he just headed back. And at the end of that session, he had done his first marathon distance, and that's fantastic. So, he started off little by little, training, asking the question, testing himself out, testing his abilities, and then, he did what he never thought he would be able to do, or that he never thought that he would try to do, and he did it. So, commitment, confidence. He took the time. So, time is another sort of prerequisite. You want to when you plan, you want to set the amount of time you believe it'll take for you to accomplish this thing. To when you want to start, when you want to finish. It's just because you got to block a good part of your day, however long you think it's going to take, so that you can get on with the rest of your life before and after your solo mission. For me, that involves taking care of my family, being around to take care of my family, to enjoy my family. So, I have to be careful with how I schedule a date, how I have to be careful with, how long I'm going to be out there, because I don't want to miss, like dinner time. I don't want to miss, lunch or whatever. And, so it's funny how, these lists of requirements, prerequisites are more sort of mental, psychological, and not so much physical, because I kind of just pushed the prerequisite as just have a good running base where you feel comfortable that you could do the distance. Maybe that's 20 miles for you. Maybe that's 26.2 miles for you as a base, or as your longest run, So the topic of need for support, right? When you're out doing the 50K distance, and when you're out doing it as slow as I do it, I'm out there for a long time, for a good part of the day. So I'm talking, what am I talking about? I'm embarrassed to tell you guys how long it takes for me to be out there, but I start out early and I finish up, after lunch, so it takes a while. So, and when you're out there for a long time, you're not going to be able to, it's possible to carry everything you need, but, if this is your first time doing this distance, then, if you can minimize the amount of load that you have to bear while you're out there running, that's great. So, if you're going to do an out and back, and you're going to want to be able to have friends or family or somebody, or maybe just have some sort of place. It could be like a coffee shop that you can consider, or you can have set up as your personal aid station. Where you have, the extra hydration liquids, the extra fuel, the extra foods, the extra snacks, the extra supplies you may need, gear or whatnot. So for me, that's sort of, when I plan my last 50K, it's, figure out when the 15, 16 mile point would be, and then tell my family that's where I'm going to be, and approximately when I'll be there, and they'll be there. And when I get there and meet up with them, then I'm able to swap out handheld bottles, get a fresh bottle of water, and if there's certain other types of food that I want to enjoy at that point that I don't carry with me, they'll have it available. If I need to sort of strip down some of the clothes or the gear that I'm wearing, then I can hand it off to them. So it's, I don't have to worry about losing any of my stuff. It's all taken care of. So more along support, we talked about supplies. Supplies could be for example, extra water, and if you're not sure if it's going to be a completely hot day, it's always good to have extra bottles of water or jugs of water, because even though you may not be drinking as much, you may need it to sort of carry with you and cool you down as you go along with your run. Again, it would be other types of foods that you ordinarily wouldn't carry. Those would be other supplies. Maybe another pair of shoes in case something goes wrong with the pair that you start with and you just want to switch gears. Maybe another pair of socks. Whatever makes you feel good. For the longer ultra distance runs, you hear stories about folks just getting those portable mini toothbrush products, because being out as long as they are, having the comfort of brushing your teeth sort of wakes you up and refreshes you and makes you start new, and you want to, you'll be able to have that extra good vibe, good feeling to keep going. So we talked about food, we talked about drink, we talked about gear, those are things that, you're going to want to plan for and have ready, even if you won't think you need it, at least there was a quote from Vinnie Tortorich, if you, something along the lines is, if you don't see it, you'll need it. So basically, all the possible gear that you think would be helpful and supplies, pack it. You could see it. You may not need it, but you could see it, because the moment you don't see it, you need it. You want to avoid that. The other type of support would be, again, from people, your friends, your family. These people that meet you at these designated aid stations or these designated spots along the way to give you aid, to give you encouragement, to talk to. That could be a big thing to help support you and get you going so you can complete this task. Now, the other topic would be planning a route. You start off from home, but where do you go, right? That's the question. So, will you have access to a trail? Where will you be running? And personally, for me, I'm able to, leave here, cut through the neighborhood, and then hit one of the streets where there's street lights, because I'm going to start out in the dark, and then I can estimate when there would be daylight, and then right about that time, hop on a trail, and then go the rest of the course. And I know how to do that because I'm using some tools online, like the Gmaps pedometer. I could plug in points on a map online, and imagine myself actually, as I plot the map, I can imagine myself actually running through those streets and those trails, and then the map will sort of calculate the distance as I keep, adding pins to the map, and then I can take what I know my estimate pace would be, and then use that to calculate, how long and what time I should be at certain points to meet up with my support, if that at all makes sense. And the good thing about being able to do that too is you'll know where the trail is. You'll know where it's accessible, and whether or not, when you're running on this part of your course, if it's accessible by others, or is it going to be completely remote? So that, when things are remote or accessible, that can tell you things like, okay, if there's ever a need for assistance or help by my crew or by my family or by emergency crews, is it possible? So other things would be less critical but just as important, and that would be in case you need to use the restroom, right? Or along the way, if you're in a neighborhood setting as part of your course, then you'll know, okay, maybe there's a Starbucks somewhere, and then you could just sort of start thinking about where are these places that would have accessible restrooms, maybe even accessible places for water or food, just in case that ever had to happen, right? My favorite go-to places are Starbucks because, I can do two things. I could, take care of my bathroom needs and I can get a cup of coffee, or I can go get a cup of coffee and then take care of my bathroom needs, whatever floats my boat at the time. So plan your route, know where you are in the neighborhood, or if you're on a trail, what's accessible and what's remote from others in case you need. Also, you also want to know if you're in a remote spot, if there's a chance that you won't have, say, cellular coverage, because you may, like I do, I like to carry a phone because I like my family to know where I'm at when I need them to know, or if they need to reach me in case there's a family emergency. I can say, okay, I'm done with this run, pick me up at this point. There's more important things to take care of. So, cell coverage can be an important thing for you if you think about it. And what else? Coffee shops and using tools like Gmaps pedometer online to sort of figure out your course, your pace, your distance, wherever you are going to be. It's a good way to also visualize, right? Because these types of course, your planned course may not be something you run regularly, and for me, what I plot out is unique every time. There's some common parts of the course from the previous year, but in general, it's pretty unique, and I'm really not hitting up that course more than twice a year. So, things could change too, walkways, trails, and paths could all have changed in a matter of time. So, use a tool. And when you're able to do that, like I mentioned, you can start to calculate your time. So on the topic of calculating your start time, right? Knowing your route helps. And depending on when you think you want to be starting, you're able to calculate, as mentioned, using information online. When would sunrise be? So, for example, if sunlight is supposed to, or daylight is supposed to develop, or if the sun is supposed to rise at 6 a.m., right, and you start out, say, 4 a.m., right, between 4 and 6, where do you think you'll be? Then you'll know where you can expect daylight, and that's important. I found that to be important because then I can figure out, as I mentioned before, when I should hop on a trail, so that I know that I have enough light and there's some safety, because the last thing I want is some boogeyman jumping out of the bushes saying, "Boo, I scared you." And it's not really about me, it's more about I want to be as safe as possible so I can get back home to be with my family, right? If it was just me, then I'll be like, yeah, I'm going to go out and I'm going to fight the boogeyman if he shows his face on the trail, sucker. But, yeah, I think about my family. I don't want any trouble. I don't want to place a phone call somewhere and say, hey, can you pick me up? I'm at the police station because I got in trouble with the boogeyman. Yeah. Anyways, I digress. So, on the topic of pacing, so if you know your course, if you know your calculated start time and whatnot, and you know your, based on previous runs, what your estimated pace would be, then you can, you could really lock down on some sort of pace chart or pace grid, and that's information that would be handy to give to crew or family or friends that are there to help you, as well as yourself, so that you can, if things change along the way, then you can calculate, you can make those adjustments and use that chart to help you, recalibrate, meeting times and finishing times and whatnot. And as well, and that'll, when you can get that aid that you need, it all comes into play. Knowing your route, knowing your start time, knowing your pace, it can all help you determine the appropriate meetup times and meetup spots. Deciding what to carry, it's whatever you're comfortable with. It's whatever you feel that you'll need before you meet up with your first, aid station or crew stop, right? So for me, if I did 15, 16 miles and then until I meet my crew for the 50K, what I'm going to be carrying is I like to carry a vest, a hydration vest with a water bladder in the back, and that's just water. And I have a handheld device or wrap which holds a handheld bottle, and I keep water in there. And I keep it as water until I'm at a point where I want to actually take in fuel. And I buy a packaged fuel called UCAN Superstarch. So I anticipate after, I think 2 hours or 2.5 hours, of going out for the run, then I'm going to fuel up with that product. So I'll mix it up around, at that time, 2.5 hours. I'll mix it up then, and then I'll work on it for the next, 5-10 minutes till it's done. I'll carry raw almonds as a snack, and it's solid, it's crunchy, and it keeps me busy, and it can keep me distracted from the run, and it tastes delicious, and it's healthy fat. It's awesome. What else do I carry? So I mentioned the UCAN Superstar, so I'm carrying several pouches of those on me because I'm going to go through 3, 4, whatever it is, however long I'm out there. I calculate every couple hours or so for fuel. What else am I carrying? I carry salt sticks. So I have a zip bag full of the salt stick capsules. Put a bunch of them in a Ziploc, and then I'll work through those as I feel I need based on how much I'm really taking in hydration and losing liquid, and how hot it is, and also as a peace of mind. What else recently what I carried was a product called Master Amino Acid Pattern, which is an amino acid supplement, and I played with those last run I had, and I take them because I need them to support my muscles. I need my body to know that I need my body to know that my muscles are fine. Don't shut down when you're out this long doing this run. Don't shut down. Your muscles are fine, and to me, that's what those amino acids will do. They'll help replenish me or fill me up in a way with the amino acids that could just signal my body, your muscles are fine. Don't shut down. Don't break down. Don't destroy yourself, and stay strong, buddy. Get the job done. What else do I carry? So starting out late. It's going to be dark, so you want to carry some sort of illumination, some sort of head torch, headlamp, or a flashlight. And so I did that. I had a headlamp. I had sunglasses too, because at some point, once you're out of the dark, the sun's going to show up, and you're going to want to protect your eyes. I carry a visor, also for shade. I carry gloves, and I carried a sort of a light shell jacket. So the shades aren't on, obviously, when I start out, so they're tucked away in a safe place. And I have the headlamp, and I have the visor, and I have the shell of a lightweight jacket on. And I have gloves because I start out really early, and it's cold. My body will warm up, and I'll start to kind of sweat under it. But then, at a certain point, I'll know when it's time to sort of peel that stuff and tuck them away nice and tight, put them in my pack, or sort of wrap them around my body, or dangle them, or hang them, or drape them over, other straps and whatnot that I have on the pack. So yeah, carry those things. I'll carry an ID, and I'll carry a debit card. So in the event that I do need to hop into some place that takes and requires ID, I have that covered. I also carry a couple zip bags, one filled with petroleum jelly or Aquaphor or Vaseline, any one of those products, for the purpose of protecting any abrasions and also protecting the skin from causing abrasions, if you know what I mean. What else do I carry? I carry another zip would carry squares and squares, multiple layers of these squares of bath tissue, toilet tissue, TP. And you know what that's for? Blowing your nose. And blowing other things. And wiping. In the event of an emergency wipe situation, that's there. And having an extra bag or two, or plastic bag, is also helpful. You just kind of pack them all nice and tight, put them in the pack, have them there for when you need them. And the reason why you want to have the extra baggies or plastic bags is because in the event you actually use stuff, you want to be able to dispose of your waste properly and not irresponsibly and leave them out on the trail or in somebody's yard. You don't want to gather your mess and then put it in a place where it's appropriate. And so that it leaves you with another zip bag full of wet wipes. And if you're into the whole hand sanitizer, antibacterial stuff too, get wipes that are that, or maybe you can get The first aid kit has these individually packaged, wrapped, hand sanitizer or antibacterial wipes. So, have those handy. Tuck them away so you don't worry about them on the run. And there's many other things that you can probably think about. Oh, there you go. I carry my phone, as mentioned, and which means I also carry earbuds. That way I don't have to, keep looking at my phone and wondering whether or not someone's calling. I can just keep one earbud in the ear and tuck the other one away so I can hear what's going on with the open ear, and I can kind of hear what's going on through the earbud on the other ear. What else? That's all I got. And that's how I decide what to carry, kind of walk through what I think my needs would be and get some good information online from others who do this type of stuff. And, that's all I got. I think if you were to take all this information, find out what makes the most sense for you, what you think would work for you, you can develop your own plan, and go out and do your thing, do your run. There you go. That's how I do it. And make sure when you're done, celebrate. Be with your friends, be with your family. So, if I'm not there and you get this done, congratulations. Great job. Thumbs up. Awesome. This concludes the episode of Ruel's Running Podcast, where we talk about how to run a 50K Ultra solo mission from home. Hey guys, thanks for listening. And don't forget to check out the website, ruelsrunning.com. Check it out. Check out the resources page for stuff, cool stuff. Be sure to check out our affiliates and check out our sponsors and affiliates. Amazon.com. Check out Pure Vitamin Club. Check out audibletrial.com/ruelsrunning. Be sure to check us out on Facebook and like us at facebook.com/ruelsrunning. Also, check us out on Twitter at @RU__EL. That's it, folks. That's a wrap. Oh, lastly, please check us out. Check us out on iTunes and subscribe and leave us a rating and review. Thank you very much. I'm your host, Ruel. See you next week. Be sure to check us out. We have another great, wonderful special guest on for episode 32. Be safe, love life, eat something delicious, take care of your family, go run something. Bye.
Was a dream a million miles away. There was fire in the sky like every single day. All these bits and pieces to construct a song. Get your mind blown, look into the unknown.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.